I'm not going to waste time delivering value. So here's my promise to you, just like yesterday. My promise to you is to deliver a decade worth of knowledge in one day. I'm trying to compress and create this ninja brain money concentrate to install it in your brain so you can change your family tree. I'm going to give you do it now tactics. And by the end of today, you're going to be able to walk away with a 2024 roadmap. It's the exact process I've used for over a decade to hit and exceed revenue goals every time. It's very, very simple. It's very simple, but there's a couple little math problems I'm going to work through with you to explain how it works. And then at the end, I'm going to share my creation, something I've been working on for a very long time, okay? Now, if you remember yesterday, we had some bonuses, the 60 profit-producing ideas. I think they can drop the link back in the chat again, but it's very easy. It's thewarplan.com/60, thewarplan.com. And I'm going to give, or Ashlee will give away the password to that at the end of the presentation tonight. And then the FRAP formula access was also free for you, and all of you get it, and it's amazing. And some of you probably went through it last night. If you saw any of the content last night and thought it was amazing, just type in the chat the value that's in there, because it's money-making goodness. And to get that, you go to thewarplan.com/FRAP, F-R-A-P. And like Ashlee said, we'll do the grand prize giveaway worth over $20,000 and maybe even some more Do Hard Things shirts and Slay Like David hats and things like that. So let's do a quick recap of yesterday. What we were really talking about was the art and the science and the AI of success. How do you become inevitable? How do you protect your bank account and your family tree? Well, this is how you do it. It's the art of marketing, the nuance, right? And then the science of numbers, and then accountability and implementation. Now, if you want to write down a first note, write down AI, and here's what I want you to write next to it. Write accountability, and then you're going to write 4 other words. You're going to write implementation, then you're going to write innovation, then you're going to write inspiration, and you're going to write iteration, okay? Iteration. If you do these things, you can't fail on a large enough time horizon. It's not possible. If you understand real nuance, that everything is marketing and marketing is everything, you can't fail in the long run. Yesterday we talked about noise, nuance, and offers. We talked about how noise, by the way, Trump, great noise maker. And let's have a sidebar about Trump for a second. Who's the most hated man in America? Type it in the chat. I kind of gave away the punchline here. But who's the most loved man in America? The answer is the same. He's a very polarizing figure. In marketing, we call that splitting the room. He does a good job splitting the room, whether you love him or hate him. He's an expert marketer. He knows how to make noise. And the elements of good noise making and jumping up and down in puddles, so to speak, is timing, targeting, and tempting. We also talked about nuance, which was surprise, signal, and sequence. I shared the story of Mr. Thug Life David Hamill. Great guy, amazing man, known him many years now. His son as well, who I think is on here. And the way that he does yard signs, if you haven't seen day one, we'll post a replay link in the chat, and you'll also get an email with that. The replay will be available until Sunday night. So until Sunday night. And then we talked about offers, pre-frames, comparison, and goodies. We talked about how you don't want to be oranges in an apple to oranges comparison. You want to be Indian gooseberries. You want to be something entirely different. And unless you hate money, we talked about how creating a decoy offer will raise your average ticket. It works 100% of the time if you do it and you tweak it and you stick with it. It always works. We talked about how creating a high-ticket offer will get you high-ticket buyers. Not everyone will buy it, but some people do that. Some people spend $5,000 on a single golf club. I don't know why. Golf isn't that fun to me, but it is to other people, right? So if you don't have a high-ticket offer, you're not stopping people from buying. You're only stopping them from buying from you. We also talked about killing whales, not minnows, whale fishing, going upstream, higher ticket commercial work. Depending on your industry, this is going to be really important if the economy continues to slow down and be weird, but there's also less competition, less total people trying to get those high-ticket jobs. And you can get an organized spreadsheet, and you can keep track, and you can give people quotes that they didn't ask for. Did you know that? Did you know that you can do an unsolicited bid? This is how you land the whales. You send out pricing estimates to people that didn't ask for it, and then you incessantly follow up with them, say, hey, I'm just calling. Did you get the quote I sent you? For bonus points, put a picture of their building or facility on the front of the estimate to personalize it. They will open it. For extra bonus points, send it FedEx. Because you know what the open rate is on a FedEx? It's 100%. That's what the open rate is on a $10 FedEx or a $15 FedEx. And you can build a system to get 6-figure jobs instead of 3 or 4-figure jobs. We talked about how targeting the affluent is going to become increasingly important, that just because people look rich and have nice things doesn't mean they are. A lot of times the people with money live in normal houses. They've been there for 30 years and they have a manicured lawn. We want to pull data and figure out where these people are and get our message in front of them. We also talked about David versus Goliath. I gave an example of Stanley Steamer making $400,000 a day cleaning carpets, while the average carpet cleaner makes $326 a day. And to succeed at a high level, you don't have to behave like Stanley Steamer. You don't have to do what the big giant company's doing right now. We have to market small. We jump up and down in puddles. We use the little rock to slay the big goal. And what that means is shock and awe marketing, neighborhood by neighborhood and cul-de-sac by cul-de-sac. That's what it means. We talked about the importance of securing joint venture partners. Again, you can see all this in the replay and how we should do it now because they need money and you need money. We talked about acquiring your competition and how you can do that without any money. My job is to make you money and profit faster. And what we're going to be talking about, again, is art and science plus AI, accountability implementation. Today is all about science, how to get what you want, how to become inevitable. And here's the topic of conversation for our training. We're going to talk about the gap. We're going to talk about the curve, and we're going to talk about magic numbers. And this is not something that is cute that I made up for this slide. This is the thing that I've done, as simple as it is, that gets the biggest results every time if you follow the instructions, okay? So what is the gap? Let's start there. The gap is the distance between you and your core desires. And we don't just have a revenue gap, we have lots of gaps. My wife is reading a great book called The Gap and the Gain. And it's really interesting because what happens is we do need to quantify what the gap is, but we don't have to become super stressed out by obsessing over the gap. We need to know what it is as a number, and we're going to put a pin in it, right? So when I talk to people like Alex Hormozi, when I've talked to people like Russell in person and Myron Golden, I've asked them, hey, do you set goals? And you know what they told me? They said no, which is really weird. It's counterintuitive, but it makes a lot of sense after I explain this to you. So setting a goal, according to Alex Hormozi, is making a contract with yourself to be miserable until a future outcome occurs. Have you ever thought of it that way? Like, because what you're doing is you're staring at the chasm, you're staring at the giant gap. You're like, here's where I am. Awesomeness is way over there. I'm on Pain Island. I can see Pleasure Island in the distance, but there's like sharks in the water and I'm screwed. And it's depressing. Now, we do need to have a target, and we're going to do some math to have a target, but one of the reasons that the GAP plan, the Close the Gap Challenge, is so effective is after we set the targets, we're going to simplify and reduce all the overwhelm. We're going to nuke overwhelm. Who wants to not be overwhelmed by the Close the Gap? Say, I do. Say, I do in the chat, because the number one actual reason people get stuck is not because they don't know the stuff. It's because of the way they feel. It's the way they feel. Like I said yesterday, Myron Golden said the goal should never be to do something, it's to feel like doing something. If your body is optimized and you're pouring in the right content into your eye gates and your ear gates, think of these as gates, and you get to choose what comes through the door. When that's happening and you feel motivated, when you feel inspired, it's easier to do the boring, mundane work that's always required to get a big result. And so this gap is a revenue gap, but it's also a character gap. It's also an intellectual gap. You know, some of us in our relationships have relationship gaps. There could be breakdown in communication at home. I know for Ashlee and I, at the 7-year mark of our marriage, we came this close to hitting Control-Alt-Delete on the marriage. It was to the point where I was looking at long-term apartment rentals. It was actually one of those extended stay hotels. But I was looking at them, and we were fighting and screaming, and it was a nightmare. And thank God that turned around for us, but there is a massive gap in communication. There's gaps everywhere. And so I want you to understand that closing the gap is critically important, But obsessing over how far away you are from some magical outcome is a huge mistake. We're going to break it down into itty bitty pieces. So here's my first question. What do you want so bad that your stomach hurts? And I understand not everybody has my personality type, and that's completely okay. I get worked up. I get passionate. You don't have to be like that. But there's a chance that you feel that you were called for something else other than just the Groundhog's Day thing that you're doing. Isn't there a little bit more? Is there something else? If this business for you is a step one, what is your step two? What is your mission and your mandate and your purpose and your destiny? And if you don't know that, what materially do you want? Do you want to be debt-free? Do you want to travel more? Do you want to buy a first-class ticket one day just to test it out? It's kind of fancy. They give you like a piece of chicken and they give you a real glass instead of a little paper cup thing. Do you want to get a second home so you can spend more time with your family on a lake, on a cabin? Is it about charity? Is it about children or grandchildren? Are you an empire builder? Are you a Tommy Mello personality type? Most people aren't, but some people are. He is a maniac, right? He's an empire builder. I'd say less than 5% of the population meet that criteria. But what is your thing? What do you want? I'm going to tell you a story about a guy I coached a while back, and I asked him what he wanted. Now, when I first work with people, I always start here. I ask them, what is your primary objective? And I can see some nodding heads in Zoom right now, because if you've worked with me, I won't let it go. I have to understand the answer to this question, or I can't optimize anything for you. Not all advice is created equal. There is no one size fits all in terms of day-to-day implementable advice. It depends. It depends on lots of things, and mostly, and starting with, what's your success criteria? So I asked this guy, what do you want? And he said, well, Josh, I want to get to 5 trucks. Trucks meaning, he had a cleaning service company. And me, I already know that's not what he actually wants, but he thinks that it's actually what he wants. Think of it like this. He doesn't want 5 trucks. He wants what he thinks having 5 trucks is going to give him, right? So even with your gap, when you say, I want to hit $1 million, that's cool. You're not a bad person for wanting that. That's good. But what you're saying is you want to hit $1 million so that something else happens, which is the real thing that we're targeting. In his example, which is a true story, I pushed him on it, and he got really frustrated with me. I kept saying, you want 5 trucks, so that what? You want 5 trucks, so that what? Who cares about 5 trucks? Why are you obsessed with 5 trucks? Are you a car collector? Who cares? You want 5 trucks, so that what? And he said, well, I paid you a lot of money, Josh, and this is a really dumb question. I want 5 trucks so I can get more money, stupid. That's basically what he said. And I was like, okay, we did a step 1. Let's continue the conversation. You want more money, so that what? Who cares? There's still going to be people with more, and there's still a lot of people with less. Why are you so obsessed? Are you really going to get out of bed every day for 18 months, do really hard things, take financial risk to get more money? Is it? Is that really the thing? I feel like there's more. And he said, well, I want more money so that I can pay off my debt. And then I kept doing this process, pulling the onion layer back. And I said, why do you want to pay off your debt? Who cares? Dave Ramsey's disappointed in you, but nobody else cares. I mean, average consumer debt is a thing in the United States. He said, I want to pay off my debt so my wife will stop nagging me. And he started to get emotional. And he wasn't mad at me anymore, but he's getting emotional. And I knew we were getting really close. And the bottom line is, for him, the guy started crying. And he said, I just want her to trust me again. That's what he really wanted. And here's the problem. Because he went all the way around Gold Mountain on my little silly sketch here, he was going to spend 18 months doing the wrong thing for the wrong reason, when there's stuff he could have done that day to start reestablishing trust with his wife. He could have had a conversation that day. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you watched, click the video on the left to watch the previous upload. And if you want one of my personal favorites, click the video on the right. And of course, don't forget to hit the middle to subscribe so you never miss an upload. Thank you again for being on this journey with me.